Right.
Fuck, who's talking?
Okay.
Right, welcome to the 2.5 Kiwi podcast. Joining me here I have Luke and Jack discussing the latest Super Rugby developments from round 2. Let's kick things off with the Crusaders Chiefs game and that high tackle. What the hell happened there?
Jack, do you want to start things off?
Right, okay.
Oh
Right.
my god.
So, obviously the high tackle, first contact made at the shoulder, then sliding up to the neck. But,
Alright, let's back it up a bit here, okay? So we're attacking the line. Who was actually had the ball in hand?
Ryan Crotty going low, yeah.
So he's going low for the try. He's actually diving. He's almost over it. And then we had a defending player from the Chiefs team actually try and make the tackle, but unfortunately he had to lead with his shoulder, hitting very high on Ryan Crotty, who was actually bent over.
He didn't lead with the shoulder. He just connected with the
He
shoulder.
had a swinging arm that was basically just trying to hold him back, yeah.
It was a last-ditch tackle from, I guess, an out-of-position player. But the argument was obviously the fact that it was yellow card, penalty try, and the argument was like, how do you make the tackle?
I think for this one, unfortunately, it's pretty clear cut for me because at the end of the day, the act of scoring the try was inhibited by a dangerous tackle. There's no two real ways you can argue that act. Again, you have to make a tackle somehow, but every single tackle has the opportunity for some sort of dangerous impact.
How do you make a tackle from someone like going forwards who's just then diving low at the ball? Like if they're diving low at the line and they're leading with their head, then they almost become untackleable is the kind of argument about it at the moment. So if someone was to be running down the line and then they just almost salmon dive forward, like just they become like
well,
like,
you're going to start seeing players actually almost leading with the head in the sense of almost trying to milk a penalty because they can now see how the rules are being changed. So it's almost sort of countering the very thing that it's trying to stop.
Well, the very clear issue that I see from a refereeing perspective is that there's been a change in the last 12 to 18 months where referees are now ruling directly to the letter of the law. They're not actually applying
100%. No common sense.
Any circumstantial common sense or at least, you go and stand in front of a judge. If you've done something, to lessen the charge, you get lessened. As opposed to here, you connect with the head, it's a yellow card immediately, if not a red. Yeah. I mean, in the Lions series last year, we had players jumping into a tackle, which was deemed tackling a player in the ear.
Yeah.
I mean, we've never seen that in history in rugby. And now you get a guy diving at the line, the contact with the head is made, a try did happen to be stopped being scored, and now we've got penalty tries determining outcomes of games. It's pretty difficult when, rugby's a non-structured game. The tackle is always going to be a point of contention depending on how and when a player spins, their body position, did he slip in mud?
Yeah.
I mean, where's that application to the realities of the game?
Like again, to back the referee's decision, the argument is obviously the guy was out of position. If he was in a better position, then he could have made a tackle in a more legitimate manner.
That is a good point.
So it does kind of nullify everything. But what it is going forwards is obviously it needs to have the consistency of that needs to be kept out.
This is how they
through the whole thing.
They take the consistency by just ruling to the letter of the law.
Yeah,
that's why
they're
doing it.
Yeah, so it has been consistent as of now, but like what happens next week is the thing.
Well, it sets precedent, doesn't it? It sets a precedent.
It sets up for a lot of controversial matters, but
I mean, and this is
oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, this is you saw it earlier in the game where Damien Mckenzie got a tackle against him, and blatantly he was just running towards the line. He sort of slipped as he came into contact, and the Crusaders prop, I think it was, just slid up.
Yeah, number
and
3, I believe.
That
took him out. But that's the thing. If you just looked at that, just purely you did a snap freeze frame of the moment of contact, you go instant yellow card. But you look at the context, you're like, it's Damien Mckenzie, who's already like 1.60 m, he's falling as he's running, and so you sort of look at that context and you're like, mate, that's just hard luck, and that's just a penalty.
It was also a more swinging arm than the actual the penalty try was though. That was the thing.
But see, here's my point, Jack. You're actually applying circumstantial evidence now to the
exactly.
At the end of the day, he took a shoulder to the head.
They were both yellow cards, so at the end of the day, that's fine. It's consistent, so I've got no issue with it.
No, fair. Unfortunately, one was in the act of scoring a try. Now, if you think about how many minutes of footy were actually played in the weekend, and only this instance come up once, right? I mean, if we start seeing it more and more regularly, it's obviously going to be an issue.
It's just
so.
Well, what do you think about the fact that the other thing was so Damien Mckenzie, he gets smacked in the neck and then he just gets up and he's almost playing straight away, and then the adverse side was Ryan Crotty. Maybe because he knew it was a try, he then maybe potentially acted on that injury a bit more.
Yeah, which is what you see in rugby league a lot, and what
he looked to
union
milk
players
it.
hate.
Like, I mean, it was a lot worse. The Mckenzie.
I think we're starting to see that a lot more in professional rugby because the stakes are high, and I think you're going to see as an increasing trend. It's certainly not going to get to the point where guys are falling over and clutching their leg when they've been touched on the arm and football.
The classic one is like you always see those the ones they ping up all the time is where they get those guys in a headlock, like a vice. What do they call it? Neck roll. Neck roll. That one is one just in rucks happens almost 9 times out of 10. But the guys just sort of get on with it. Whereas now it's almost like, hey, shit, I've just been neck rolled. Oh, I'm just going to lie here, hold my neck, and then you're going to see, like, oh, hold on, we just need to review that footage while we just get his neck assessed. Oh, shit, neck roll.
That's where the third umpire really comes into it. That's when they're starting to have huge influence in the game.
I mean, I guess with TMO and rugby, I mean, you've got that kind of a lot better control over what decision is actually made. So they do have a bit more time to make the decision. So, I mean, we don't want to slow down too much. But
anyway, so back to the game, guys. I mean, we need to keep this moving.
Let's go back off to that. So moving on to Damien Mckenzie playing at 10 instead of a fullback, where he's been possibly the best fullback in the last 2 competitions. What?
It's a really, really good point. I mean, he was actually played in this position for the New Zealand Māori against the Lions last year, and it was a massively contentious call.
It was. I mean, that's in a team which he played
out of the blue.
Like, you don't play with regularly, though, isn't it? Like, it wasn't as if it was like.
No.
So I mean, it's hard to get
rumor has it
into a position where you're controlling the ship, opposed to when he's at the back, where he's got a lot more freedom in a team which he's not really.
There was a point in that game as well where he received the ball deep within the 22 and was able to launch a counter-attack, and that's when you saw the true Damien Mckenzie come out, stepping players on the fly, making sort of 30, 40 metres without being touched. I mean, the guy's 90 kilos dripping wet, I'm pretty sure. If he got collected by some of these players, he'd be so quick, he'd be in a hospital bed in no time at all, and that's why he's so good on his feet. I mean, I thought he ran the game exceptionally well, to be honest. I mean,
I think
it was more or less an arm wrestle.
Aside from the 2 hospital passes which he threw, which lost tries.
Oh,
I mean,
you sort of dismiss those really, given the game situation.
That's where he's one of those players where he's always going to have critics just because of his size. No matter what he does, even if he's the best player on the pitch, there's still going to be someone going well, he's not Ben Smith. Because he's just not big. He's not big enough. So, I mean, you look at the championship which he just played in just then, and he played pretty well man of the match in a couple of games, but then as soon as he has a game where he's not good enough, him, just like Sonny Williams, is just slated straight away. But with some,
you got to pick holes in him. People have to find ways to pick holes in him. I thought he ran the game really well personally. I think you'll see him play a lot more in that position over the rest of the season. I really look forward to seeing who's named in the Chiefs starting 10 this weekend.
Oh no, I think he's locked it down for Chiefs, no doubt. But the question then goes with Sop Wanger obviously now going overseas, that spot frees up for.
It's him. It's neck and neck. Sop Wanger. Richie Mo'unga and Damien Mckenzie are basically neck and neck for 2 and 3 in that spot, because they sort of know that Ben Smith on his day is number 1 fullback, and Mckenzie's pretty much got to try and get that number 2 spot.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting point you raised too, Jack, about his size, because this weekend he actually comes up against the Hurricanes. Oh no, he doesn't. He comes against the Blues. Fuck! Sorry, we're reading the wrong week. Good start. Really interesting.
It's really appreciate doing some research before you do it on this air.
You'll find. I'm just gonna bag that and sort of bottom draw that comment.
We could use that in round 3 when they are actually playing the Blues.
Tune in next week.
It is round 3 this weekend.
Tune in next week when Aaron comments on the future games of round 4.
Well, put it this way: when he does play against the Hurricanes, he's going to be playing against a guy not much bigger than him, a higher West, who actually had quite an interesting game in the weekend for the Hurricanes against the Bulls.
Not impressed by Ehigh West. I made the comment earlier, but I think when he gets discarded from a Blues team that was looking as average as it was last year and the year before, I think he just doesn't have that what do you call it, that game, I don't know, the ability to just run a game and
the ability to play rugby, is that what you're looking for?
I think also he is also then he is second to the best 10 in the world currently. So when you come in,
he can only improve then, can't he?
It's like he's got a very high bar to compare to, and again it kind of goes back to, can the Hurricanes actually play without Barrett? And
no.
Did you say no?
Well, it's not even a question, is it? That was rhetorical, right?
Oh, there's got to be someone out there that thinks that they probably can.
Yeah, interesting one to watch.
Yeah, but
I think what we can deduce from the weekend is that the Crusaders are still probably the form team. I think.
I think there is.
Their depth and structure is clearly evident there, and the way they sort of just picked away the Chiefs for a good 80-minute performance. A couple of calls did go their way.
Just going back to the Chiefs again, the other thing that I thought was really unimpressive with the Chiefs lineup was their midfield was just distinctly average. Like, one of their plays, it just showed, Mckenzie did everything right, clean ball for line out, Mckenzie, and then they throw the ball, and basically their second five and their centre just are running the exact same line, run into each other, knock it on, and you're just sort of thinking, how are you guys doing this, first week in? You sort of think you've had a whole off-season to sort of just run that line just a metre different.
To give the defence...
Speaking of running those lines... I'll just step in there and sort of talk over you there for a minute, Jack, if that's okay. I think that what was clearly evident in that game is that how fine the teams are prepared to play to the game line this year. How flat those passes were was extraordinary. They came unstuck later in the game when people were prepared to take on and intercept tries and things, but you'll see that a lot more where Mckenzie was passing, if not on the borderline of forward, but dead flat to players running onto the ball. It created a lot of indecision in the defence. It was great to see.
And what do we think, since we're still on the Chiefs, what do we think of Sam Cane and throwing that dummy and running about 40 yards?
Oh man, where did he get that pace from?
That's All Black. That's All Black training right there. You saw that guy.
Right.
He turned that 11. I can't quite recall his name. The new kid on the block for the Crusaders, almost round in circles when he threw that dummy. Something to behold.
Yeah, because he still had about 20 yards to go after he thrown that.
I think it was George Bridge sort of fell for
it. We deal in metres over here, Jack. By the way, we don't deal in yards.
Oh, okay.
We'll get that one right for next week.
It's all good.
Highlanders pulled one out of the bag against the Blues.
I just want to blow off Sam Cane a little bit more, but man, his D is just it's game changing.
He just defense or something else.
Just by the way,
I didn't really link those two well, did I?
Just in case you guys were wondering, there are two other teams for the Kiwis on the Kiwi conference that played in the weekend. You can suck off Sam Cane as much as you like later on, Luke, when we're doing the prep.
We'd say that,
when he's playing the Highlanders,
like Luke said, the Blues, very average team, but made quite a few signings this season. Also with the form of Ioane from the Championship and also Sonny Bill Williams. And they did also... They could have won that game. It's not as if they were far behind. They were... It was
again, a yellow card changed it.
Either side. And again, like you said, a yellow card and kind of changes the game. But
I guess what it seems like what we're seeing more and more with these yellow cards that is different to previous years is that when you saw a high tackle, it would be you'd hear the whole crowd go, whoa, and then the ref would almost be straight away, and then call him over at yellow card, whereas now it's sort of a tackle, the half crowd's a bit ooh, big hit, and then it's sort of, again, that player will sort of draw attention to themselves, stay down, and then it's TMO, let's just take a look at that one, and then they go and same thing, have a look at it, and then go off. And again, it sort of changes that momentum of what rugby is. Like rugby's never been like that as far as a game that stops, replays, looks at it, sends it off. So I think we are seeing a real blatant change in the way that rugby's watched and almost ruled.
I couldn't agree more, Luke. I think teams need to really look hard at how they're going to attack and defend. And when people have thrown themselves 120% into a tackle situation, you're going to have issues. But the reality is, there's no excuses anymore.
Yeah,
they're going to blow yellows. They're going to blow reds. You can't use that as an excuse to losing a game anymore.
Yeah, you've just got to be.
Not. We've had TMO for bloody 5 years, and the same to the same degree that we have them now. I mean, they are fully involved in refereeing that game. And if we're sitting here in 2018 and saying far out like the TMOs are ruling games, it's like, wake up. They're here to stay, and you've got to be a bit more careful around that attacking that ball. What I find really interesting is that the attacking player can run knee first into a defender, knee into head first, I should say, and knock the guy out, and that's fine. Yet if an attacker lays an arm anywhere near, defender lays an arm anywhere near a ball carrier or their head, it's instant dismissal. That's where I think the game's really changed in the wrong direction, is that the defender isn't actually protected in any way anymore. I mean, we've seen them try to rule at the ruck with players leaving the feet. You still see it every ruck. Someone comes flying in off their feet, damn near snaps someone in half who's got their hands over the ball. How these guys can walk after a day in this level is extraordinary.
Yeah, I guess they're not just the like you. I guess.
Oh, Jesus.
How's that busted knee going from that game of soccer you played the other game, Jack? Do you want to tell the listeners about that?
Do you want to tell the listeners how many minutes of rugby you've played in your lifetime?
Yeah.
How many
structured, I should say.
How much
structured
how much time in the tight you've played, Jack?
Oh dear, brilliant. Right, well, I'll sign off here, fellas. I'm really looking forward to Friday night footy. Let's get on with it.